As a CFO, I don't really just focus, sir, on finance and accounting or treasury. I always wanted to understand the whole business of the organization. In some of companies that I have joined with the same principle, I was always looked at as a very nosy person. You just tend to, look at the process of other divisions that you are not, that you're not heading. But again, I was trying to explain to them that I'm not there to police them. I'm there to really look for improvements in processes. So I will be able to help the organization better. It's a good thing that as a CFO, I don't just focus on finance and accounting and treasury. I also focus on the business model. These things has helped me, help me perform my role as CFO for JK Capital right now, because I can switch roles. I can be a salesperson, I can be a credit approver, I can be the CFO of the company. I look at the different value chain of the organization. As far as the whole management is concerned, we are at the stage of evaluating, trying to look and see or wait and see, right, on how the whole market will respond, how the whole financial services industry would respond to this fintech. So I'm seeing that in terms of this industry, we're not really ready to go 100% fintech, doing all the transactions online. As much as it will promote efficiency and effectiveness, or it will promote productivity and economy in terms of our cost, right? I'm really looking forward to the implementation of a national ID, not for anything else, but it will help us, identify the correct borrower. It will help us do a better KYC for our client. Because, national ID, you can really get hopefully the right information. And another thing, probably with the implementation of registered SIM, probably 80% of our SIM in the Philippines are still unregistered. If your client are using 3 phones, 3 SIMs, prepaid, they can always change it the following day. Probably after they got their loan from us, tomorrow they have a new number already. So those are the things that that we need to manage and we need to address before we really go full blast on fintech. If a CFO would just remain as a number person and would not really develop other skills, especially the so-called soft skills like communication, presentation, I think it would be difficult for you to convince your management to really value your position, value your insights, value your inputs. But if you can present your position as CFO and you can show them how the numbers are working, because let's admit, not all business owners are number savvy. But as CFO, you are trained for the longest time on how to talk to numbers. Not just crunch numbers, but as CFO, you should be like number talkers. You should be able to really talk to numbers, because numbers can tell you what happened in the past, why your numbers are good or bad. So you have to know what happened in the past and what are the possibilities of the future. For me, the dynamic between the CEO and the CFO should always play, an important part of a daily activity in your organization, because you're trying to reconcile the numbers. This is the numbers being given by the CEO. This is the numbers being reconciled or being tested by the CFO. So putting sense into numbers. How? Again, by talking to numbers.